Bonnie Tyler's family confirmed her death, and tributes poured in from icons like Rod Stewart, Bryan Adams, and Catherine Zeta-Jones within hours. But beyond the emotional messages was the story of her final months. Keep watching to hear what her peers revealed and what happened before her passing. The statement went out early Thursday morning, and it landed on every music page within minutes. Tyler died unexpectedly in a hospital in Portugal, her family said, with an official cause of death not released as of that Thursday. The words her team chose were specific. They said, "Bonnie's family and team are heartbroken to announce that Bonnie unexpectedly passed away last night in hospital in Portugal as a result of the illness that she was being treated for." That single line went up on her website, her Instagram, her Facebook, all at once. And within the hour, the site itself buckled. The website was down overnight, with so many people attempting to access it at once, a sign of the love and support she regularly received from fans. Rod Stewart was one of the first major names to respond, and he didn't do it with a generic line. He went straight to the thing that connected them, their voices. "We shared similar styles of vocalizing. She was a good pal, a true soul stirrer. I sing 1977 song, It's a Heartache every night on tour. I'll miss you, darling Bonnie," he wrote. Think about that for a second. Stewart has been performing It's a Heartache on his own tours, night after night, for decades. Tyler wasn't just a peer to him. She was part of his actual set list, part of the songs he leans on to close a show. Then came the Hollywood side of the reaction, and this is where it gets interesting, because it wasn't just musicians. Kevin Bacon posted a statement too, and his connection to Tyler runs through one specific scene that most people who grew up in the 80s can picture immediately. One of the great voices of rock. Bacon told Entertainment Weekly in a statement of Tyler, who recorded her 1984 single Holding Out for a Hero for the Footloose soundtrack, adding, "I could not imagine chicken racing a tractor to any other song. RIP." That's the tractor chicken scene from Footloose, Bacon's character, Ren, squaring off against the local bully, in a game of chicken on farm equipment while Tyler's song blasts over the top of it. In Footloose, Tyler's song Holding Out for a Hero plays as Bacon's character, Ren McCormack, faces off against local bully Chuck Cranston in a tractor game of chicken, and both that scene and Tyler's song became forever iconic for those who loved the 1984 film. 42 years later, Bacon is the one confirming her death to entertainment reporters. That's how tightly her music got stitched into pop culture memory. And it wasn't just Footloose. Johnny Knoxville jumped in too, from a completely different corner of entertainment. Stunt comedy, of all things. Bonnie Tyler, thanks for letting music be a part of Jackass. R.I.P. Knoxville wrote on his Instagram stories, referencing Tyler's 1984 anthem, Holding Out for a Hero, which was featured in Jackass, Best for Last. So in the space of one morning, you had a soul rock legend, an Oscar-nominated actor, and the guy who built a career getting hit by shopping carts, all mourning the same singer for three completely different reasons. That's the kind of reach Holding Out for a Hero had. The Jim Steinman and Dean Pitchford written anthem quickly became one of Tyler's defining hits, before appearing everywhere from Shrek 2 and Old School to Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Loki, Euphoria, and Guardians of the Galaxy promotional campaigns. Then Catherine Zeta-Jones posted, and hers carried a different weight entirely, because she wasn't just a fan, she was family. Since 1973, Tyler was married to British judoka and Olympian Robert Sullivan, who happens to be the first cousin once removed of the Chicago star. Zeta-Jones wrote that my heart is broken with the news that our dearest Bonnie Tyler has passed away. Bonnie was married to my cousin and has been such a part of my life. We are photographed here together the night before my wedding. She sang and rocked it at my wedding. She kept going, calling her an extraordinary woman with vocals to match, a one-of-kind artist who so easily could have been a comedian because she was one of the funniest people I ever met. She closed the tribute in Welsh tradition, writing that they'd forever keep a welcome in the hillsides of Wales for you, sending love to Robert and the family. Downing Street even weighed in. The Prime Minister's office said Keir Starmer was saddened by the news, calling her one of Britain's greatest recording artists. A spokesperson added that she left behind a catalog of music, from Total Eclipse of the Heart to Holding Out for a Hero, which continues to touch lives, flood dance floors, and fill karaoke booths. So within 12 hours of the announcement, you had reactions stacking up from every direction. Rock royalty, Hollywood, Wales's own acting elite, and the actual government. That's not a normal celebrity death cycle. That's what happens when someone's music has been playing on a loop in the background of everyone's life for 4 decades, without most people even registering how often they were hearing it. To understand why this reaction spread so wide, so fast, you have to go back to where she actually came from, because it's a long way from a Portuguese hospital room to the top of the UK charts. Tyler was born in Skewen, Neath, in South Wales, the daughter of Glyndwr Hopkins, a coal miner, and his wife Elsie, and grew up in a council house with 3 sisters and 2 brothers. Her birth name wasn't Bonnie Tyler at all. She was born Gaynor Sullivan, née Hopkins, on 8 June 1951. The house was full of music, but not the kind you'd expect from someone who'd go on to sound like she did. She grew up listening to Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, and the Beatles, although her favorites were Janis Joplin and Tina Turner, and had a deeply religious background, attending chapel 3 times a day on Sundays. School wasn't where her path was heading. A coal miner's daughter in Wales, she dropped out of school while still a teen to work in a grocery store, and in 1969, her aunt entered her into a talent competition. She didn't win, coming in second, but the experience inspired her to pursue a career as a singer. From there, things moved fast for a kid from a mining town. She was spotted in a local club by a talent scout and quickly landed a deal with RCA Records. Other reporting fills in how that scout actually found her. The future superstar got her first break when a talent scout heard her belt out Freda Payne's Band of Gold, and she eventually signed in 1975 with RCA Records and took the stage name Bonnie Tyler. Here's the part of her story that turned into her signature. The voice itself wasn't something she was born with in that raspy form. It came from a medical scare early on. 2 years after signing, Tyler underwent vocal nodule surgery that gave her already husky voice the raspy roar that became her calling card. Some accounts get more specific about how that recovery went. Her unmistakable raspy voice was born out of a health scare early in her career. In 1977, after developing nodules on her vocal cords and undergoing surgery, she was instructed not to speak for 6 weeks, but later admitted she broke that advice after letting out a scream of frustration during her recovery. So in a strange way, the voice that would define power ballads for the next 50 years came out of a surgery meant to fix a problem, not create a signature sound. Her debut record came out that same era. Her debut record, The World Starts Tonight, was released in 1977 to positive reviews. But it was her single later that year, It's a Heartache, that catapulted her onto the charts. That single didn't just do well in Britain. Born Gaynor Hopkins on June 8, 1951 in Wales, Tyler hit the US top 5 in 1977 with her single It's a Heartache. It's the song Rod Stewart says he still performs on tour to this day. But the real turning point, the one that made her a name every household in the world would recognize, came a few years later, and it came down to one decision she made on her own. She wanted a different sound. In the early 1980s, Tyler wanted to go in a more rock-driven direction, and specifically, she wanted to work with Jim Steinman, the composer and lyricist who helped craft Meat Loaf's theatrical Bat Out of Hell album. Getting Steinman on board wasn't automatic. The pair met in Steinman's New York apartment, where he tested the possibility of a collaboration by gauging Tyler's reaction to 2 of his favorite songs, and Tyler apparently passed the test. So Steinman agreed to work with her. That meeting produced the album Faster Than the Speed of Night, which included covers of Steinman's 2 favorite songs and the career-defining Total Eclipse of the Heart. The story of how she first heard that song is one she told for years afterward, and it's worth repeating in her own words because it captures how little she expected what was about to happen. Tyler first heard the track when Steinman played it for her on piano, and she recalled him singing the song all the way through, saying she thought, "Oh my God, this song is amazing. I can't believe Jim is giving it to me." She wasn't even confident radio would touch it because of its length. At first, She thought no one would play the song, as it was 8 minutes long, but the radio version, which came in at 4 minutes, was a runaway success, spending 4 weeks at #1 in the US. That's the woman the tributes are talking about. Not a mystery, not a one-hit act. A coal miner's daughter who dropped out of school, worked a grocery counter, came second in a talent contest, and ended up being the voice that Kevin Bacon can't separate from his own breakout film. Once Total Eclipse of the Heart hit, it didn't behave like a normal chart single. It became something closer to a cultural fixture, and that's the piece that explains why the tributes kept multiplying for days after her death instead of fading after a single news cycle. Total Eclipse of the Heart sold over 13 million copies worldwide and was released as the lead single from her UK chart-topping album Faster Than the Speed of Night in 1983. It didn't just top one chart. Total Eclipse of the Heart came out in 1983 and made it to #1 on both the US and UK charts, and the bombastic ballad then became a karaoke anthem. Decades later, it kept finding new audiences in ways almost no other 80s song managed. It has had more than 1 billion streams, boosted by real eclipses in 2017 and 2024. Newsweek's reporting nails down exactly when that billion-stream mark landed. In January 2026, the track hit 1 billion streams on Spotify, and it is the platform's most streamed song by a Welsh artist. She talked about that phenomenon herself years before her death, and it's one of the more charming things she ever said about her own career. Speaking to Good Morning America, the singer said she still gets excited when Total Eclipse of the Heart comes on the radio, especially if there's an actual eclipse, adding, every time the eclipse comes, everyone all over the world, they play Total Eclipse of the Heart, and I never get tired of singing it. Steinman didn't stop there either. He and Tyler went back to the well one more time, and it produced the other song that defines her legacy just as much. Steinman, who died in 2021, also wrote Holding Out for a Hero, which was written for the Footloose soundtrack and became Tyler's last top 40 hit, peaking at #34 on Billboard's Hot 100 in 1984. The music video for that era of her career was its own spectacle. For radio purposes, Steinman shaved a few minutes off of the original song length, but the music video, featuring doves, ninjas, and choir boys with glowing eyes, manages to pack a lot into just over 5 minutes. Tyler herself remembered how physically brutal shooting that thing actually was. It was freezing cold, and I had to run barefoot through the snow. It was very hard for one to do, but it was incredible. Tyler told CBC Radio, adding, "I had total faith in Jim's storyboards. I don't know where his mind was. His ideas were incredible. Steinman's fingerprints on her sound weren't just about writing catchy lines. He built something specific around her voice." Steinman, known for his operatic, high-octane style, recognized that Tyler's raw, emotional voice could anchor the kind of sweeping, cinematic songs he specialized in, and their collaboration began with Total Eclipse of the Heart, a track built on soaring arrangements, gothic tension, and Tyler's unmistakable delivery. Even the people who helped make the record were stunned by what came out of the sessions. The song's dramatic scale left a lasting impression even on those involved in its creation. Backing vocalist Rory Dodd later recalled being stunned when he first heard the finished recording, while music critics have credited the combination of Steinman's larger-than-life production and Tyler's powerhouse performance for the song's enduring appeal more than 4 decades later. She didn't stop writing hits after that peak either, even if none matched the size of those two songs. Just a year later, Tyler was nominated for a Best Female Rock Vocal Performance Grammy for Here She Comes. And though she never again had as definitive an anthem as Eclipse or Hero, even when again working with Steinman, Tyler continued to enjoy international success, with albums such as Secret Dreams and Forbidden Fire and Bitter Blue topping the charts in various parts of the world. One of those records became a phenomenon in a specific corner of Europe. Bitter Blue spent 11 straight weeks at #1 in Norway. She also wrote something for someone else that ended up outliving her own version of it. Tyler was the first artist to record The Best for her 1988 album Hide Your Heart, a song that would later go on to become a smash hit for Tina Turner. That's a small detail, but it tells you something important. Tyler wasn't only a voice that other writers built songs around. She was a source that other artists drew from too. By the time streaming culture rolled around, her back catalog had quietly become one of the most reused music libraries in film and television. Beyond Footloose and Jackass, Holding Out for a Hero kept getting pulled into new projects decade after decade. And Total Eclipse of the Heart turned up in sitcom moments that became memes on their own. Tyler was also known for the song Total Eclipse of the Heart, which played a part in a fan favorite scene in the TV show Modern Family. She kept working right up until the end, too, refusing to fade into a nostalgia act. Her final record was 2021's The Best Is Yet to Come. She released a memoir in 2022, Straight from the Heart, and a series of singles as recently as 2025 and 2026. One of those late collaborations reunited her with the sound that made her famous in the first place. David Guetta, who featured Tyler on his and Hypaton's 2025 song Together, which interpolates the chorus of Total Eclipse of the Heart, wrote on Instagram, "Your music and spirit will live on forever." He added something that hits differently now that she's gone, that the collaboration would always mean a little more now, saying he was grateful we got to share this song with you. That single reached real chart numbers too. One of them, Together, reached number 4 in France. Behind all of those tributes and all of that catalog sits a medical story that unfolded quietly over months, mostly out of public view until it suddenly wasn't. It started with a home she'd had for years on the southern coast. The gravelly-voiced, Grammy-nominated Welsh pop star was hospitalized in May in Faro, where she had a home, for emergency intestinal surgery. Other reports pinned down exactly what that surgery was for. Tyler was placed in a medically induced coma at a Portuguese hospital sometime around late April for emergency surgery for a perforated intestine. The early word from her camp was cautiously positive. Despite a statement saying the surgery had gone well, her condition worsened and medics were forced to put her on a ventilator. Around that point, rumors started circulating that her team had to publicly push back against. A statement said doctors were still positive that she will make a full recovery, and hit out at what they described as lurid and untrue rumors now circulating. That's a detail that tells you how much attention was already on her condition, weeks before anyone was talking about a death announcement. Things took a serious turn during that stay. According to Page Six reporting, in May, she went in for emergency intestinal surgery and was later placed in an induced coma in the town where she resided, Faro, Portugal, placed in the intensive care unit where she suffered a cardiac arrest and was resuscitated. Then came a stretch of cautious optimism. Her team said the following month that she'd turned a corner even if she wasn't out of danger. In June, her spokesperson said the Welsh-born star was no longer in a coma, but remained very unwell and in intensive care. NBC's reporting frames that same update slightly differently, but lands on the same picture. In June, Tyler emerged from a month-long medically induced coma after undergoing emergency surgery to treat a perforated intestine. Her family said at the time, doctors were still telling her team they expected a positive outcome. Last month, representatives announced she had emerged from the coma but remained very unwell in intensive care, while doctors continued to express confidence that she could recover. That's the cruelest part of this whole timeline. There was a real window just weeks before her death where the news was trending toward relief instead of grief. Fans who'd been following the updates were bracing for a recovery story, not an obituary. And in the middle of all that medical uncertainty, she still had a full calendar sitting untouched on the other side of it. Tyler was scheduled to perform in Malta and Germany, and her upcoming tour also included shows across the UK, as well as in Austria, Hungary, Turkey, and Romania. Those dates never got the chance to happen. When the end came, it happened fast and without the extended warning that sometimes precedes a public figure's death. Tyler died in Portugal 2 months after she was placed into an induced coma following intestinal surgery, having awoken from the coma in June but remained in intensive care. Her team's language in the final statement kept coming back to the word unexpectedly, a detail nearly every outlet picked up on because it signaled this wasn't the outcome anyone close to her had been preparing for after the June update. Legendary pop singer Bonnie Tyler, best known for hits, including Total Eclipse of the Heart, died after weeks in a hospital, her family said Thursday. Her age at the time gets repeated constantly across every single report. And for good reason, she was 75, an age where Total Eclipse of the Heart was still climbing streaming charts, still finding new listeners, still being interpolated into brand new songs with David Guetta. She wasn't a legacy act coasting on nostalgia. She was actively working, actively touring, actively releasing new music when this illness took hold. That's part of why the reaction hit as hard as it did across so many different corners of entertainment. Nobody had filed her away as someone whose story had already finished. As the days went on, more names from her actual era, not just the actors and DJs who'd used her songs, started adding their voices. And this is where the reaction really turned into something specific to the 80s itself. Bryan Adams, who'd crossed paths with her creatively decades earlier, posted his own tribute referencing that history directly. Bryan Adams, who appeared on her 1986 album Secret Dreams and Forbidden Fire, after she covered his 83 songs straight from the heart, wrote on X, "Dear Bonnie Tyler passed today. She had such a great voice, and I'll always be grateful of her beautiful version of Straight from the Heart. Thanks, Bonnie. RIP. That's not a passing acquaintance paying respects. That's a direct musical collaborator from the height of her career, marking the loss of someone whose version of his own song he clearly still thought about." Spandau Ballet's Tony Hadley, another name synonymous with the decade's biggest sound, posted a tribute that went further into personal memory than most. He wrote that she was an incredible woman, so kind and friendly to me as a young artist. Over the years, we met several times, and she was always the same Bonnie. Her voice was truly amazing, and standing next to her, you really got to feel her power, calling her a beautiful legend. That's the kind of tribute that only comes from someone who actually shared stages and green rooms with her across years, not someone reacting from a distance. Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies added his own voice from a slightly different angle. Not a musician, but someone who'd grown up with her records the way an entire generation of British kids did. He praised her as the fabulous singer whom he had loved since his teens. Even her own manager's words, delivered in that first statement to press, framed her death in a way that echoed across nearly every outlet covering it that morning. Bonnie's manager, Matt Davis, tells TMZ her family and team are heartbroken to announce that Bonnie unexpectedly passed away Wednesday night in a hospital in Portugal as a result of the illness that she was being treated for. What's left hanging as of now is what happens next. Her team has been consistent on one point through every single update. We will issue a further statement shortly, but for now, ask for privacy to deal with this tragedy, the family said, and that line has been repeated across nearly every report since the news broke. As of this recording, no funeral arrangements have been made public. No funeral arrangements have been announced for Tyler. Her marriage, which ran for over 5 decades, is part of that private grief, too. Bonnie Tyler had been happily married to her husband, Robert Sullivan, for 52 years. Somewhere in that same story sits a quieter piece of her life she'd spoken about before, the family she'd hoped for but didn't get the chance to build the way she wanted. She once said of a miscarriage she suffered at 39, "We just thought it wasn't meant to be." What's certain is that her catalog isn't going anywhere. The song that made her name keeps finding new context every few years. A fresh eclipse, a new movie needle drop, a Guetta remix, a Jackass sequel. She became the first British female artist to debut at #1 on the UK albums chart, and remains the only Welsh artist to have a #1 on the UK singles chart. That record stands regardless of anything else that gets written about her in the coming weeks. For now, the tributes keep arriving in waves, some from the icons who shared the charts with her in 1983. some from actors who only knew her through 4 minutes of soundtrack, and some from fans who never met her at all, but can't picture certain movie scenes without her voice underneath them. That spread, from Downing Street to a Jackass Instagram story, says something about how far a single voice from a Welsh council house managed to travel. The further statement her family promised hasn't landed yet. Until it does, the tributes are what's filling the space where an answer about services, or a cause of death, or what comes next for her music would normally sit. Sources: TMZ, Bonnie Tyler dead at 75. Deadline, Bonnie Tyler tributes, Kevin Bacon, Johnny Knoxville, and Rod Stewart. KTLA, Hollywood pays tribute to singer Bonnie Tyler. Newsweek, Bonnie Tyler death, Catherine Zeta-Jones mourns singer. Wikipedia, Bonnie Tyler. ITV News, tributes pour in after Bonnie Tyler's death. KVUE, Bonnie Tyler cause of death. What we know, Deadline, Bonnie Tyler dies. Total eclipse of the heart, singer was 75. NBC News, Bonnie Tyler, singer famed for total eclipse of the heart, dies at 75. Hello Magazine, Catherine Zeta-Jones mourns Bonnie Tyler. Legacy.com, Bonnie Tyler obituary. Deseret News, tributes pour in for total eclipse of the heart singer. She Knows, Grammy-nominated songstress Bonnie Tyler's cause of death revealed. Yahoo Deadline, Bonnie Tyler tributes, Kevin Bacon, Johnny Knoxville, and Rod Stewart. Yahoo, Rod Stewart and Kevin Bacon honor. Bonnie Tyler. Yahoo, Kevin Bacon remembers Footloose. Singer Bonnie Tyler. Complex, Johnny Knoxville, tribute to Bonnie Tyler after her death. Noise 11, Bonnie Tyler tributes honor. A voice that defined a generation. Yahoo Closer Weekly, Kevin Bacon's tribute to Bonnie Tyler. Hola! Kevin Bacon remembers Bonnie Tyler. 20 trillion, 260 billion, 709 million, 912,057. Kevin Bacon remembers